So Mulan was meant to be released earlier this year in March, but we all know why it never managed to hit cinemas. This live action adaptation of Mulan is of course the latest attempt by Disney to recreate their classic animated film library. And Disney has so kindly offered to release this film straight to our TVs through our own Disney Plus subscription with the additional fee of $30 or 35 Australian. And yeah, I sort of get it. This movie cost $200 million to make, and being directed by the New Zealander Niki Caro, this is the most expensive film ever directed by a woman. So if it's not going to make any money in the box office, Disney's just gotta find a way to at least just recoup that money. So this version of Mulan, it does follow the same story beats of the animated film. You've got a war waging in China, and the emperor calls upon all the families to send in a man to assist the army. And in Mulan's family, her father doesn't have any sons, so she goes in her father's place because she knows that if her father goes off to war, he's definitely not coming back. And just by looking at the title of this video, I'm sure you know my feelings of the film. Yes, I thought it was garbage. Yes, I thought it was boring. And this video is really just a way for me to express why I'm so disappointed in this film. This film just got rid of all the magic of the animated films. Yes, while it does hit the same story beats of the animated film, all those special moments between the side characters in Mulan were completely lost. They got rid of Mushu, the dragon, played by Eddie Murphy, who, along with another little cricket who didn't talk, was along with Mulan for her entire journey. Although I guess as an Easter egg, they chucked in a soldier and named him Cricket. And I think the most disappointing thing for me, I felt like it just missed so many of those classic moments in that Mulan animated film. The thing that was most striking to me was their montage sequence. It just did not have the same effect. In the animated film, there was a 5-minute montage of them training, from them being completely useless to being actually competent. And in this 5-minute montage, with a song playing alongside it, I'll Make a Man Out of You, they went from Mulan being this weak individual, being bullied by her peers, to actually gaining the respect of the leader and the other soldiers by showing that she's willing to work hard and get better. And yes, they completely missed the classic scene where she climbs the post with those weights and gets the arrow off the top to prove that she's able to conquer anything. And this was all done in just 5 minutes. And this character growth in 5 minutes was more than I saw in this entire film. The only person that I felt like they got right was the matchmaking lady. They also had some powerhouse Asian casting. They had Jet Li as the emperor, they had Donnie Yen as the commander, they had Tzi Ma as Mulan's father, Gong Li, considered one of the greatest actresses in China, playing the bird witch lady, a character definitely not in the original, and they had Jason Scott Lee playing Bori Khan. All of these great actors and actresses were just seemingly wasted with cringy dialogue and just not much to do. And Mulan, played by Liu Yifei, I don't think she did that great of a job. I just felt like she was gasping all the time. I just don't feel like she had many other expressions other than just gasping, and I didn't feel any connection to her, despite her being the title character of the film. And then we have the visuals. For a $200 million movie, I didn't expect the CGI to be so obvious. When the CGI was there, it was there, and you could tell, and it just takes you out of the film completely. And for the most part, this film isn't that great to look at. And on top of that, I didn't think the set design or the costume design was done very well. The props and the sets, they looked like props and sets. The town that Mulan lives in, the palace where they had the final battle, they all looked fake. They didn't feel like they had any history. It didn't feel like that building had been standing there for hundreds of years or anything like that. It just felt brand new. It felt off the shelf. It didn't have any personality, and it just came off really sterile. And it goes the same for the costumes. It just all felt like it just came right out the package, they whacked it on and they just started filming. It didn't feel like these clothes or the armor really had been lived through and really had gone through battles. The only thing I remotely liked was probably the mountains and the scenery. That stuff was beautiful to look at, but I mean, it gets washed out real quick when there's CGI just everywhere. And then let's talk about the writing. It was shit. The dialogue sounded like they wrote the script out in English, they chucked it in Google Translate, translated to Chinese, and then read that, and then translated it back to English. And then that's what they ended with. It sounded disjointed, it sounded corny, it sounded cheesy, it sounded dumb. Even for a kids movie. And another weird thing I noticed was that some of the voices, they just sounded dubbed. And I'm not too sure what the reason is. Maybe it's because I've seen Chinese movies with this sort of setting and it's just odd that they're speaking English while reading literal Chinese text. And honestly, this just had me thinking, why wasn't this movie in Chinese with English subtitles? Wasn't Disney trying to hit the Chinese market with this movie? It felt like Disney was really trying to focus in and appeal to that audience. Yet, they decided not to use their language. I mean, you've got the story, you've got the actors. Why don't you have the language? I just don't understand. Anyway, so I do want to talk about more specific story points. So there will be some minor spoilers, nothing too crazy or anything like that, but just as an FYI, in case you still want to go watch the movie for some reason, there will be some spoilers from this point on. Disney definitely tried to lean a little bit too heavy into the fact that Mulan was a woman and those gender tropes back in the day. I honestly felt like I was being banged over the head constantly with this fact that Mulan is a woman. Women can't be warriors, so she's gonna bring dishonor to her family. It was just too on the nose and it was just too often. Like, literally, she is a woman. We can see the characters are disappointed in her. We get that. We get the time period. They don't have to keep saying it over and over and over and over. Like, I get it. These issues are the foundation of the film. So if it doesn't serve the plot to mention it, we don't need to keep hearing it. What I mean by being banged over the head is the introduction of this new witch character. She is seemingly one of the antagonists of the film, but really she just felt like a device to bang on about how women are ostracized, women can't be warriors, women are oppressed. And while the underlying message is absolutely great, empowering people to be themselves, empowering people not to just accept what roles people have set for you, but the way this character was executed, she fought and had a chat with Mulan a couple times and then eventually sacrifices herself for Mulan. In a moment that just felt like they just wanted that additional you go girl moment. In the grand scheme of things, when you look back on it, she didn't add very much to the story of the film, even though she was featured so heavily. Again, I reiterate, the message is great, but when it's just banged over your head over and over, it just comes off as like nagging. And another thing that annoyed me was the fact that when Mulan embraces her true self as a woman and she sheds off all of her armor and just runs into the battlefield with her hair flowing, she just somehow gets superpowers and just destroys everyone. And it's all because of this new concept of chi. And I did not like this idea of chi at all. Throughout the entire film, it seems like the only people with chi are Mulan, the bird witch lady, and the emperor maybe. And this completely alienates the audience. Mulan now isn't just a regular girl that's worked hard to get those skills. She just seemingly has those innate abilities. She's got chi, she's got power. And then now, the message that you can be your true self is just lost. Because now it seems conditional on the fact that you have superpowers and you can just beat up those people that oppose you. And a few other things that I found odd were how those donuts that were training alongside Mulan, they suddenly just become the A-team in the final battle. One of the guys literally like pulling the bow from behind his back and then defeating the Huns without any casualties. Like, that's just ridiculous. And of course, that Phoenix, I feel like people are going to be talking about this Phoenix. It was just so stupid. It felt like it was trying to be the Mushu replacement that doesn't talk and doesn't actually do anything to help. It just flies in the sky and sort of points Mulan in the right direction. I just felt like this was just incredibly stupid. Anyway, wrapping this up, Disney was clearly just trying to pander to Chinese audiences by removing Mushu because apparently the audience in China didn't like Mushu, and they tried to make this a more realistic and darker tone film, removing any comedic tone at all. But at the same time, they didn't make this movie in Mandarin. So, I mean, who are they making this movie for? At the end of the day, do I think it's worth the extra money? Definitely not. Save yourself that cash. Go and watch the animated film. You also save yourself 30 minutes as well. And it pains me to say, this movie is just not worth a watch. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, please be sure to give me a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to Cloudy TV for more content from me. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of the live action remake of Mulan. How did it stack up to the animated version? And what did you think of the animated version? Because that was such a classic for me. It's one of my favorites as a kid. Growing up in the 90s, being Asian, obviously that movie is fairly significant to me. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. As always, thank you guys again for watching this video, and I'll catch you all next time.